Hey, welcome everyone. Day 3 of the challenge. How great is that? We are really getting some traction going. Today I had a fun time going and working out with some folks that were just down the road from us that are into this challenge, and we had a great time, got a great workout, and we've had a wonderful day working on the challenge, trying to get better. That's the core message of this challenge is what can I do that's better for me? I even found today that some of my choices, I was inspired to do better. And I think we can all benefit from doing better. And that's just been such a fun part of this challenge. So here we are. We've been talking about some personal development topics. We've talked about desire. We've talked about goals. Let me bring this topic up. The topic of reasons. Put another way, I want to talk to you about your why. Your why, your reason behind doing the challenge, because we've already talked about it. There's a desire to achieve this challenge. Something about this challenge spoke to you, and the desire caused you to act. And now what we're trying to do is we're trying to get real clear on the desire by setting goals, good goals, healthy goals. So we've talked about making sure that your goal is specific, that the goal, right, has a target, something you can measure. It's something that is within reach. And here we are. We've probably already identified some of those goals. But the problem is now, or I don't want to say the problem, but I feel like what you're going to battle, the challenge you're going to have now, is though you have a goal, you're going to be tempted not to keep that goal. I mean, yes, within that goal, there is a part of it that does help you pursue it, but you're going to need a little bit of incentive to keep that goal. Now, for me, what I've heard and what I've experienced is one of the best ways to keep your goals is to understand why you have them. And simply put, you have to ask yourself why. Why is it that this matters to me? Why is it that this goal, I want to achieve it? There's actually a practice that's kind of interesting. It's called the 7 whys. The 7 whys. Now, you can have as many whys as you want to, but the truth is, what you do is you start asking yourself the first question, that is, why do I want this goal? Why do I have this goal, right? And you answer that question, right? Now you look at your answer and you ask yourself, why? Why did I give that answer? In other words, why do I want to do that? You write your answer. Do you see a pattern? You're going to keep doing that until you've asked yourself 7, maybe even 10 why questions, because what happens is you are digging in the layers, getting to the root cause of the motivator behind the why, or behind the goal rather. You are getting closer and closer to the internal factor that brought you to this desire in the first place. It's actually a mixture of logic with a little bit of emotion. I've actually heard a great story about this exact topic where a mentor of mine, went to have his heart scanned. He was just wanted to, I guess there was some history of heart issues in his family. And the doctor came in, and he praises this doctor because he said this doctor wasn't just a typical doctor. This doctor knew how to motivate. And so he walks into the room and looks at this man, and he says to him, "Wow, I didn't expect to see such a young man whose results this belonged to. And so the mentor I'm talking to about, he's sitting in the doctor's office like, what's on that scan? Right? What did they find? He said, wow, this is the doctor speaking, and he said, let me ask you something. Do you have kids? The man said, yeah, I've got kids. He said, son, daughter? The guy said, well, actually one of each, a son and a daughter. He said, okay. So is your son prepared to step in and be the man of the house in the event something happens to you? The guy's like, what's on the scan? He's like, we'll get to that. He said, now your daughter, how old? He's like, 16, I think at the time. The doctor looked at him and said, okay, so let me ask you, do you want to walk her down the aisle, or is it okay if another man walks her down the aisle? And finally, he kind of flips out. He said, hey, what's on that scan? He said, listen to me very carefully, because what's on this scan is not as important as the advice and the program I'm getting ready to tell you. Just know that everything that's on this scan is correctable. Everything about this scan, we can move beyond and get you on track. But if you don't do exactly what I tell you, I cannot guarantee that based on what I'm seeing on these results, that you will have the health to be here for your family, that one day this will affect you. Are you ready to work with me? And he went to work. And he talked about that experience. He said, you know, what happened was this doctor helped me to find my reasons to get better. He gave me the reasons. And what I did, the man said, I took those reasons and I owned them. I intellectualized them. I emotionalized them, and they became my reasons. I convinced myself of these reasons, he said, and I went to the extreme. He said, see, for me, I get up every morning and I exercise. I exercise every morning, 6 days a week. He said, and I do that because in my mind, I am convinced that if I don't do this, I won't be there for my daughter's wedding. I mean, wow. When I heard this story, I've got 2 daughters. I'm just like, wow, what a method, what a way to dig in and say, hey, these are my reasons. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything possible to give my body the best chance for keeping me here and being present with my family. I mean, he got real deep on his reasons. And so, sitting here, thinking about that, I think it's important that moving through this challenge, that maybe you take some time to reflect and ask yourself, what's important? What is most important? What are the reasons behind what you're wanting to do? Because it's one thing to get excited and have a desire and just kind of go head first into a challenge. And I think personally, the fact that all of you all have done that you've stepped into the challenge headstrong, like, I think that's awesome. But I know this, motivation wears off. And the only thing that's going to stay are those things that we have figured out how to internally commit ourselves to. Because I'll tell you this about a commitment. A commitment must be felt. A commitment actually requires a emotion. It has to be emotional. I for instance, how many of you have ever been asked, hey, you want to, let's get together soon, or hey, we need to go do this. We need to go to an amusement park or whatever, right? Just some kind of fun. The energy's there because you're hanging out with people that you enjoy, and you guys are just building up all these dreams. Desires are coming out. I tell you what we should do, right? And all of a sudden somebody says, yeah, we should do that. And you say, oh yeah, for sure we would. For sure we should. For sure, right? You acknowledge the desire. You even haphazardly commit to the desire. But the truth is, deep down inside, you knew you weren't serious. You knew you weren't serious. You knew that you were just saying it because you were caught up in the moment. Yes, you agree. You were saying that you agree with that idea. You agree that we should do this. But there was no commitment. There was no emotional response. There was nothing felt that said, I will do this. I will get this done. See, I know this. When you truly experience a commitment, it emotionally drives you. It emotionally causes you to respond. For instance, some of us, the getting up early part, it's a struggle. It really is. And I'm not perfect. I really am not. But I've actually found this little trick. It's like anything. It doesn't work every time, but man, it works most of the time. And that is this: before I go to bed, I have to emotionally commit to waking up early to go work out. I have to emotionally say, like in my mind, I'm planning on it. I am going to get up and I'm going to go work out. I'll tell you something that even adds more emotion to that, and that is if you have a partner, if you have a buddy, a friend, a family member that gets on the bandwagon with you, okay? And the both of you are holding each other accountable. Because I know this, good people don't want to let other good people down, right? If I tell you I'm going to do something, I want to show up, not for me. Now all of a sudden the reason is not for me, but the reason is actually for you. I'm actually using you as my reason. And that's totally fine. So for instance, it could be reasons of personal, or it could be reasons for other people. In that story, that man's reason for doing well was his family, his children, right? So in this goal, this desire you have, maybe it's time to sit down quietly, reflectively, and as you write your goal out, have a whole piece of paper right there to begin to ask yourself, why do I want this? Why? What's my big reason? Because as you keep going layer by layer, further down into your true self, you're going to find that there are actual reasons that you subconsciously have, but you've not brought them, you've not given them the attention that they should have, right? They need to be brought up a little bit further to the surface, so that way they are dominating. They're increasing that desire. They're helping you stay committed to that goal. The reasons will plant you in commitment. It's almost like, you have this goal, right? It's almost like a flag, right? And you need to plant your flag on solid ground, but you've got to also have some hardware to keep to almost bolt it down, right, to your desire. So your goal, you bolt it down with reasons. It's reasons that hold the goal up. It's reasons that will help you to maintain, to keep going, right? It's your reasons. So maybe you need to take some time and ask yourself, what's my reasons? What's my why? Why? Because if you can ever find why, let me tell you what you're uncovering. You're starting to uncover your purpose. Your purpose. Many of y'all have read this. It's a great book, but Purpose-Driven Life. Purpose-Driven Life. It's a book to help us begin living through the why, to live in a way that we now have reasons to live. My goal is to live for God. And the reason I'm going to do that is because God has created me with these specific purposes of enjoyment and pleasure and worship to Him. But it's the why that connects us to it. So take time today, sometime tonight, whenever, right? And by the way, I hope you're enjoying these exercises. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to, there's so many times I have a perfectionism thing that I'm always trying to overcome. And sometimes I overcome it by just ripping out a piece of paper and doing these exercises, because I know, okay, it's not perfect, but I did it. So I hope that you'll try this and begin to ask yourself why. Begin to build these anchors into why and see exactly how you're going to achieve your goal. We'll catch you tomorrow.